So as usual, the Digital Examiner had a great resume of our speaker tonight, and you would have learned of Sandra's background in community development and program coordination, her work with CARIA, and her creation of enriching programs for seniors. And you would have learned how a dynamic volunteer initiative she's created. But if you really want to learn about somebody, Facebook is the place to go. There, I found this great picture of Sandra. And with a smile like that, there is no wonder that she's been successful. You'll see in her posts each month, Sandra's all about her community activities. And what I noticed right away was that her posts were focused on happiness, kindness, and helping others. So we are very fortunate to have Sandra here with us tonight. Welcome. And now we're going to have to do a switcheroo.
I want to thank you very much for having me here, and I do want to apologize. I think I was booked back in another time, and I had an oops, which is not normal for me, and didn't come. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come today, because I did kind of let you down before. So I apologize, and thank you very much for having me, because it's really important. So I am now with Caregivers Alberta. I moved to Caregivers Alberta about 1.5 years ago. And I kind of feel everything that I've done in the past has prepared me for this job. And I'm just so excited to be here. The fact is there's over 1 million, they're saying up to 1.3 million caregivers in Alberta right now. And that number is going to continue to grow as our population ages, as we are finding more and more medical interventions to keep people healthy. We are going to have more and more caregivers. And so I am a caregiver myself. I have an adult son that lives with me that I'm a caregiver for, and my mother also lives with me, and I am her primary caregiver as well. So I have extensive experience being a caregiver, and to be able to take my work experience and my personal experience and bringing it into my new endeavor has been just a gift. So I'm excited to be here to share you a little bit about what we do. Who is Caregivers Alberta? We just had our 25th anniversary. We had a party last week. It was pretty much fun. And really, Caregivers Alberta developed based on a whole bunch of caregivers getting together, that realizing they were invisible in the system. They were not being recognized by the healthcare professionals in the fact as experts in their care recipient. Like, they weren't asked their opinions. They weren't asked what they thought, if they saw any changes in the person that their spouse or their partner. They weren't being asked. And no one was asking them, how are you? How are you managing this? That wasn't happening either. So they got together and they did a whole bunch of round tables, and they talked to a whole bunch of caregivers, and with some support from a few people that were kind of like the 1 or 2 people that were kind of the new Caregivers Alberta staff, and they created a document called Shining the Light. And they just felt this was shining the light on a problem that was just going to grow if we didn't do anything about it. And that report is still the foundation of everything we do today. So we have 3 main objectives. One is to provide education, which is what I'm doing now. Anyone asks us, we're out here providing education about who a caregiver is and how important they are for the system, and how we can support them, and to help people identify themselves as caregivers. I often walk into a place like this and say, who's a caregiver? And maybe 1 or 2 hands will go up. And then I will go through my presentation, I'll ask again, and I'll say, now who identifies as a caregiver? And way more hands go up, because they realize, okay, I'm not allowing myself to carry on those multiple roles. This is my spouse, this is my partner, this is my brother, this is my uncle. Of course I'm going to take care of them. I don't allow myself to identify as that family relationship or friend relationship and also as a caregiver. And when I do that, maybe I'm going to allow myself to accept help more readily, or to ask for help when I need it. The second thing we do, support caregivers' well-being. And we do that through many supports and programs, which I'm going to dive into a little bit. And also advocate for change in the system. And right now we say public policy, but we're going to change that wording. We're doing some strategic planning because we think it's much bigger than that. It's not just public policy that needs to change. It's a cultural change. That caregiving is something that is recognized everywhere, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in families, whether it is in community resources, whether it is in health services. Caregiving has to be part of the whole care strategy. So we're trying to figure out a way to word that, but we advocate that. We talk to governments, municipal, Alberta, provincial, and federal all the time about what is required to support caregivers. We talk to organizations, we talk to corporations, we talk to healthcare providers, we talk to other organizations and nonprofits. So we're always educating and advocating for the rights and the care of caregivers. So that is what we are here to do. And I kind of dived in this too a little bit, is that a lot of people don't define themselves as a caregiver. The fact is if you are helping to support anyone that has illness, disability, they're aging, they have a particular mental health challenge, and that could be addictions. It could be you're taking someone to appointments. It could be that you're helping them pick up their groceries. Notice as it doesn't say anything about they have to live with you. This could be someone that lives with you, or it could be someone that lives in a different province. I have a lot of caregivers that are taking care of people that are in different countries, right? So you are a caregiver. It doesn't say how many hours you have to be caregiving. You could be going and providing care for somebody every couple of weeks, going and providing care for somebody. Or it could be a 24-hour-a-day event. We see this especially with individuals that are dealing with people with Alzheimer's and some of those, challenging illnesses, right? Or someone's going through a cancer diagnosis and they're going through the thick of it, right? Which I can share my story about that as well. That's a day-to-day, 24 hours a day kind of job. It doesn't say, but there's no limit. It could be 5 hours a day, it could be 10 hours a day, it could be 5 hours a month. Notice it doesn't give you that you have to be a male, or you have to be female, or you have to be over the age of 30, right? Also, caregivers are represented by every demographic. There's no financial difference. Everybody is impacted by caregiving. And who are we caregiving for? Right now, we're here talking about prostate cancer. So that means we typically have spouses taking care of a spouse, right? Or a partner. Or you could be taking care of helping support your dad, or you could be supporting an uncle, right? A brother. But it's usually typically a family member. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could be a friend. It could be many different individuals. But we're also caring, we have parents, or not just parents, but we have caregivers of children with complex needs. We have adult children taking care of their senior parents. We have spouses or partners taking care of their partner. We have friends, neighbors, and family. What I'm hoping you're seeing in this kind of picture is that, like I said, it hits everybody. There isn't just one demographic that is impacted by caregiving. I also wanted you to show here that caregiving impacts both females and males. Males are doing their fair share of caregiving. We do find, though, on the national number that women are kind of picking up the slack, but they're doing more hours and they are doing more of the work. But in Alberta, it is still 50-50 on by gender. But 63% of caregivers are still working full-time. So they're working full-time, they're a caregiver, and they also have other family responsibilities. So these are people that are carrying a lot on their shoulders, right? Not just one job, right? They got 2 or 3 or 4 jobs, and only the paid one is paid. Everything else is a free job. We also have caregivers that are under the age of 30. We have caregivers that are over the age of 65. And those 20, it's actually almost of 20% now of caregivers that are over 65. There's some unique challenges there too, because these caregivers typically have their own medical challenges, right, that they might be dealing with. They might have other responsibilities. They may not be able to handle some of the heavy lifting that comes along with caregiving. So we have to make sure that we're providing resources for individuals across all ages and all different areas of caregiving. I did want to show this a little bit too. One reason I show the stats, because sometimes my presentation is pretty stat heavy, is because I want people to see themselves in it, right? If I show you these stats, you're like, oh yeah, that's where I am. I'm a female, I'm over the 65, or I'm a male and I'm 55. Like you can see yourself in it. And you're like, I am one of many people. I'm not I'm not alone. So that's one reason why we share these stats. So here we're talking about is that people are caring for their parents, they're caring for their child, they're caring for a spouse or partner, and they are also caring for siblings, and also just for people they're not related to. But it's interesting to see the numbers. And just so you know, I'm not pulling these numbers out of nowhere. Most of the numbers we get are from the 2018 census, because that's the last census that really dived into some of these numbers. Like our last sentence didn't ask anything about caregiving. But the Canadian Centre for Excellence, which is out of Ontario, they do a lot of personal research where they interview caregivers across Ontario and then use those numbers and support the work. And also the University of Alberta, they do a lot of work as well. So these stats are coming from researchers. We're not just kind of pulling them out from somewhere. But this is what we're worried about, is that caregivers are going to be pushed or stretched beyond their capability, that they're just going to be putting too many hours, and then they're going to not have the support they need to continue to do the work that they're doing. When you look at 68% are doing under 10 hours, you think, okay, that's not bad. 10 hours is a whole extra day. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said that if I only had one more day in the week, right? But this is the real deal. These people need one whole more day. 10% are doing 20 hours a week, and 22 are doing more than 20 hours a week, which is a whole other part-time job. So it's a lot, and we want to make sure that we want to support caregivers and managing this extra burden. But the cost of caregiving is, and when we go and approach government and we approach especially the Alberta government, we work really closely with them. We want them to understand that if they provide the supports, it is actually a benefit for them. And we want Alberta Health Services or the new pillars, right? The way the new system is set up, it's a benefit for them. I just went through those numbers. There's 1.3 million caregivers in Alberta, that they're typically doing about 10 to 20 hours a week. That I pay them a modest $17 an hour, okay? That's 647 million hours of unpaid care a year. Like no organization could afford that. No Alberta Health Services, no Alberta. That comes to $15.9 million a day, or $12 billion annually. And that's just Alberta. It's like $96 billion for all of Canada for the gross national product. So we want to make sure that caregivers are being taken care of, because they're actually, in our opinion, upholding our health system right now. That free care is is holding our health system together. And when we show these numbers to the Alberta government and we show it to other organizations, they're like, oh yeah, we see it. And for just a smidgen of that money put towards supporting caregivers, we're going to have a system that is much more beneficial. So that's how we kind of sell it, because, the government and organizations, that's what they care about, is the money. But when I'm talking to you, we know what the true cost of caregiving. The true cost of caregiving is when it impacts the caregiver, where that could be mental health, that could be physical health, that could be financial challenges, that could be relationship challenges, systemic challenges, not being able to navigate the system that we are dealing with. Those are, we really feel, are the true costs. So when I put these numbers up, what I am trying to say is that you are not alone, because I have clients that call me on the phone and they say to me, oh, I snapped at my care recipient today. He just frustrated me to no end, and I snapped at him. I'm such a bad caregiver. And I'm like, you're not a bad caregiver, you're human. Almost 40% of caregivers say they get their care recipient daily. That's normal, right? But if people feel that they're bad caregivers, if they don't understand that how they're feeling and how they're behaving and the things that they're making them feel overwhelmed are normal. You're the lesson back there. You snapped at me earlier today. But if you recognize that that's normal, then you're more apt to share, right? You're more apt to say, okay, I'm snapping today. Maybe that means there's something going on. Maybe there's something I need to be able to manage my day-to-day. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm just a normal human being who's feeling overwhelmed. When you see that 42% are feeling short-tempered and 39% are feeling overwhelmed, 28% say they feel stressed, somewhat stressed, or very stressed every day. And we're not talking about the normal levels of stress. I like a little bit of stress. I'm sitting here talking in front of people, right? I kind of get excited. Those stress can motivate you, right? You can feel stressed when you're trying something new or when you're learning something. We're not talking about that kind of stress. We're talking about prolonged stress, even a little bit of it, and it just never lets go. And something else happens. You never get a chance to deal with that last little stressful moment. It's about not having control over the situation, not knowing what to do next, right? It's those kind of stressful moments. If they never let go, it's just too hard. It's too hard on the human system. We're going to talk about that in a second too. But 26% that their health has suffered because of being a caregiver. And that could be for many reasons. They don't get to their own doctor's appointments. They don't get to their own dentist appointments, right? They're ignoring maybe the pain they have and getting it checked out, right? If they have any kind of medical condition from before, and they're not able to maintain it, or the stress level is increased, it might be exacerbated, whether that's heart disease or diabetes or anything else like that, right? So what do we do to help make sure that the care recipient and the caregiver are both healthy? Because unfortunately, there's some scary numbers out there. And I'll just be honest with them. Like women that take care of men with Alzheimer's, 60% of them are dying before the care recipient. Because they're just too much stress, right? So we have to do something about that. That shouldn't happen, right? So that's what we're here for. And it could be lack of sleep. It could just be the extra chores. I find this especially when it's a partner or spouse, right? And that person is now ill and they cannot do what they normally do. So the partner starts picking up more and they're doing more. And next thing they're doing everything and they don't have that partner anymore. And they're just, but I don't want to ask for help. I just want to take care of it. I'm just going to take care of it. And it's too much. That extra chores and housework can be just too much. That heavy lifting. And heavy lifting, I like to use an example. I have a cousin. He has a beautiful daughter. Her name is Rowan. She was born, the disability she has, it's a chromosomal. There's 3 people in the whole world that have it. She's nonverbal. She has no access to her movement. You have to lift her everywhere. She doesn't speak. She has a wonderful laugh, and we love her to death. But she's a lot of work. Right? It's a lot of work for her family, but they have no problem with it. They're in joy. She's the joy to them. But she's 21 now, and they're still lifting her up and down those stairs because they've always done it. And I love my cousin, and he's, into his 50s now. And I'm like, this is all good until you fall down the stairs or until you hurt your back going up and down the stairs. And then what are we going to do? Can we be proactive? Can we do something? Is get some occupational in here. It's get a lift. It's get something. Oh, I don't need help. I'm like, no, you don't need help now. But why wait until something happens? It's she's 21. She's I wouldn't be carrying a 21-year-old up the stairs. I wouldn't carry a 12-year-old up the stairs, right? So it's do something now. The heavy lifting can be difficult. Another client, a wife, she's like, I don't know if I can push that wheelchair across the parking lot. I don't know if I'm strong enough to do that. And I said, okay, well, let's go to the parking lot and push the wheelchair without anyone in it. Let's see if you can do it. Totally was able to do it. I said, okay, let me sit in it, because I'm like half the size of which is surprising because I'm a pretty big girl. But anyway, I let me sit in it. Do you see me push it? She was able to push it. I said, okay, let's get your husband in, and you should push it. I said, okay, so you can do it. And she was so proud of herself. But that is difficult. But I told her, I said, but don't go on a snowy day, right? Because I don't think you'll be able to push it on a snowy day. So maybe you're going to have to be flexible and not go on a snowy day, right? But that heavy lifting is too much. I have another great example. I have a client where she can't get her husband in and out of the shower. He's just too big. Like, she can't do it. So I said, we're going to get home care, and we're going to have to work that out, because you're going to get injured if you keep on trying to do this. And then the stress-related illnesses. We know that high levels of stress impacts our cardiovascular disease issues. It impacts any kind of other illness. It impacts chronic pain. If you have a mental health condition, it could exacerbate that. Another thing is it lowers your immune system. So if you are highly stressed, I don't know, when I was in the thick of it, my son was diagnosed with cancer when he was 3.5, kidney cancer, and he was considered palliative. He was not considered that he was going to survive. He's 28 today. And that's awesome. We had a wonderful surgeon and a great team that worked to make sure that he's here today. But he has lifelong challenges. Like, he will never live on his own. Like, he'll live with me his whole life. And I'm totally fine with that. Really excited. But I recognize, especially those couple of years where it was really difficult, I don't think I was healthy once. Like, I got every cold, every flu, I was sick the whole time, because I was just, the stress just, took over. So we know that stress-related illness can be something. I'm watching my time, so I'm going to kind of go over these pretty quickly, these next two, but because I think you guys know. Like, if you are in these challenges, you know that financial challenges exist. The biggest one I want to show here is 85% of individuals that are going through some kind of medical crisis, and there's a caregiver involved, 85% say they have financial hardship, and that they're deferring into the retirement and going into their savings to be able to get through that time period. And I've had people say, well, that's good. They had savings. They had that money. They did the right thing. But the problem is now they don't have savings. Now they don't have the retirement they're supposed to have. So now we have a system where we have people retiring and they don't have the retirement maybe they should have had or don't have any at all, because they've had to dip into that in order to just survive. And that's saying if they have it, because we know not everything's covered. We may live in Alberta and Canada with the system, but we know medications aren't all covered. Transportation, that occupational therapist, or updating my house so that it's accessible, those things aren't all covered, right? Like, nothing's all covered. So how am I going to get what I need? Physiotherapy, right? And navigating the system. We in Alberta, especially in the last few years, we've gone through a huge revamp, right? Now we've gone from the 4 pillars. I'll be honest, I call someone Alberta with services now and I'm talking to them and I'm like, which pillar are you under? I don't know. They don't know yet. Like, there's some people in the system, I don't even know which pillar I work in right now. I just do my job every day. They're in a struggle. So if they're struggling, we're not getting the information as quickly as we need it. We're not getting the healthcare professionals involved like we need them, and we're not getting the healthcare supports that we need. And so we got to look through other ways to get those things done. This is what burnout kind of looks out, because we are all capable individuals. We've all had jobs, families, volunteers. We've all really overcome some challenges in our lives. So when something like this happens, we're like, I got this. I look back at my history. I know how to deal with these things. I'm going to be resilient, use my skills, and I'm going to dive in and I'm going to be a caregiver. Me and my partner, we're going to get through this together. Something happens that we don't know, it's brand new to us. We kind of go over the cliff a little bit. We shake off ourselves up and get back on the horse. What happens is that keeps on happening. And then one day you just go over the cliff. Those caregivers just go over the cliff and they're like, I cannot come back up. And that's usually when they reach out to us. They're in crisis. What we're trying to do is get people to reach out to us before they get to crisis, so that maybe we can put some tools in place, so we can build some connections and some supports in place, so that we can deal with some of those difficult conversations early in the process, so that those decisions are made before, so that we don't have to deal with everything in a way that takes us over the cliff. So this is what we offer. So this is all the programs and services we have for caregivers. So I know there's probably people here that are patients, and there's people that are caregivers. So if you're a patient, I still think this is totally important for you to know, because you can share this with the caregivers in your life, right? This is a way for you to show that you want them to be taken care of as well, right? So I do have some brochures and stuff here to help you to share with them. First of all, the best way to get hold of us is to call our support line. It's just a phone number or an email, and you get to talk to a person. There's no push one to get to, none of that. We don't, we believe in connection and human connection. So you call up, you talk to a person, they ask you some simple questions, find out what's going on for you. Is this something you're looking for a resource that you cannot find? Is this, I am struggling and I am in crisis? Is this, I just want to take care of myself more, or I don't understand how to get access to something? Like, it could be anything. And they will help you get to the program that they feel will best support you. Because as a caregiver, the last thing you need is a whole bunch of 10 more things on your list to do, right? So our support line individual right now, we have one, his name's Munit, and we're hiring some more now because we're growing every day. It's so exciting. He knows that the biggest thing for us to do is to define one thing, one really important thing that we can do today to make your journey easy. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do day one. Because giving you a whole bunch of things to do is just going to be overwhelming, right? It's just going to go on your to-do list and not help you. So we want to help make your journey easier. So it might be connecting with a caregiver coach. Our coaches are one-on-one. Everything we offer is online or over the phone because we are Alberta-wide. So this way we have staff all the way through Alberta, but you can always reach us by phone or email. Or we can do it over Zoom if people feel adventurous to use technology. You can have 6 to 8 sessions with a coach, and together you define how you want to use that time. So whether that is managing the medical system, navigating the medical system, whether that's finding resources, whether that is talking about your own well-being and your own self-care and what you want to put in place, you'll work that out with them together. And just because you see them you talk to them for 6 to 8 weeks and you kind of graduate, that doesn't mean you can't come back. Because we know the caregiving journey, I already showed you, goes like this. So something else happens and you don't know how to deal with it, you have access to that coach again. So you're never you're out of here. That never happens. Then we also have our caregiver support community. So those are support groups, kind of like this one, but they're online. And they meet weekly, Monday to Friday. They're all over the place, day, evening, afternoon. And we actually have 2 men's group, and we have the rest of them are all general, like it could be male or female. And these are caregivers across all caregiving journeys. And we do think it's important that you guys kind of communicate together, because caregivers are the experts. They are the ones that have found all the interesting ways on how to navigate the system. They have the ones that have come up with unique ways to deal with challenges that they've been faced. And so we really, really believe in the support group model and that peer support model. We also have system navigators because we know it's hard getting access to what we need, and especially if we're in a smaller community or a new community or in a journey that we've never thought we were ever going to be in, right? Like cancer journey, and suddenly you're trying to figure out, where do I get access to something? I don't know. What do I do next? They could be helping you with that. Compass for the Caregiver program is a 4-week educational program we offer. It is the only program we have with a cost. Everything else is free, no charge, because we are a charity. So we run by donations and support from funders and like grants and so forth like that. So yeah, and they come from multiple avenues. But like I said, we've been in business for 25 years and we feel very secure for the next 3 to 5 years. Like our funding is pretty secure. So we're not going anywhere. And that course is $55. It's a 4-week course, 2.5 hours each time. It's online. But if that cost is a barrier, we just cancel it. The only reason there's cost to it is because we have a manual that we sent out to you. And so we're trying to recoup some of that cost. But we would never, ever want cost to be a barrier for anybody. And then we have some others, like living with grief and loss and beyond the shift, or some 8 to 10 week workshops that we also run. And I always like to have them on the slides so you know that they're to always watch our website to see what other kind of workshops are available. We also have volunteer opportunities because we find that individuals that go through this journey at the end, like when they come to the end of that journey and they're not really into caregiving responsibility anymore, and they've been really benefited by being part of a caregiving friendly community, they're like, I want to help other caregivers. So we had to come up with ways to help support them doing that. So peer buddies, you can get as a caregiver, you can be connected with a peer buddy, and it's always over the phone. And they just check in with you every 2 weeks or once a month, and you just have a phone conversation. So it's kind of a support group for two, because we do understand that some people, especially more introverted, might find that more difficult, right? To be in a support group with like 5 to 12 people. So this one-on-one kind of peer support is better. We also have peer support facilitator training, where we train volunteers to run their own support groups out in community. And then our Caregivers Alberta Ambassador Program. I always like to add this because I want people to understand how we support caregivers across Alberta. The only way we can do this is with our volunteers. We have volunteers all the way through Alberta, mostly in all the smaller communities. And these volunteers are with us feet on the ground. So Vulcan, Stony Plain, and way up north in some of those locations, down in Milk River, down in south, right? So they are identifying caregivers in the community and helping us connect with partnerships down in those communities as well. We have webinars that you can reach out and be part of. And just so you know, these are some of the things we do with other organizations like ours, but also with health services, is that we have a referral program where people can be referred to caregivers for Caregivers Alberta. So that means health professionals. We got a new beautiful partnership with the College of Pharmacy. So pharmacists are now getting on board and referring people to come and talk to us. So we have a referral program. And the resource roadmap is us trying to identify all of the different, like from grassroots to highly funded, programs that have been around forever that are available to support caregivers across Alberta. We're trying to identify them all and put them in one place so people can say, I'm out in somewhere and I need a resource, and can I find it? And so hopefully they can find it through the resource roadmap. And we also have a lovely podcast. I listen to it while I'm doing dishes, and they're great stories from other caregivers just like you and I. So I always like to end off here is because why do we do what we do? The biggest reason is because we really feel there's only 4 kind of people in the world. People that have been caregivers, those that will be, those that are right now, or those who will be cared for. So really, caregiving impacts us all. So because it impacts all, we need to create caregiver-friendly communities like this one, but also in organizations and corporations and through the health services and so forth. So I'm ending off by just handing out, I brought some documents today. So one is your Caregiver Bill of Rights that you please can take. I can also send you virtual copies of them so you can share them with your team online. And it's just reminding you you're not alone, and that as a caregiver, there are rights that you have as a caregiver. And some of those are to ask for help, to keep your individuality, that to have emotions and to be human. So these are really important to remember. And a document that I also brought is about just helping you remind yourself to take care of yourself. And I'm just ending off with saying, I remember someone telling me once, you have to take care of yourself. You have to participate in self-care. And I just got mad. I said, I'll just put that on my list. Something else to do. And I love that it's not about self-care. It's about self-compassion. It's about caring for yourself as much as you care for your care recipient. Care for yourself as much as you care for those that you love. And this is a document to kind of help you walk through that too. Not to put pressure on you, but to help you out. There's my information. And that information is, you can get a hold of anyone through that phone number and that email. We didn't want it to be complicated. You call that phone number, you email that email, you will get our support line, or they will direct you to one of us. Thank you for your time. I tried to be really quick. Didn't do so good.
It just totally makes sense. Don't run away.
But you have any questions, I will totally answer that.
I've been coming here 17 years.
Yes.
That's one of the best presentations I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What's up me, you know?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You know,
Excellent.
I hope.
it was worth the wait.
Yeah, that's the,
Well, if you need any other, talk to me at all, just come and talk to me after.
I will.
Yeah.
Yes, so I wonder if you could say a little bit more about the Compass program.
Yeah.
It covers that.
Yeah, so the Compass program is 4 weeks. The first week is really what is a caregiver, and then we dive into stress. We dive into grief. We dive into guilt. We talk about navigating the system, like having difficult conversations. Right? We talk about almost everything, and we truly believe like it's kind of like the manual of caregiving. So if we can get people, as soon as there's a diagnosis, as soon as there's an accident, as soon as that caregiving role is kind of defined that it's coming down the pipe, if we can get people to take this course, we think it will reduce everybody's stress level by like, I can't take all the ups and downs away, but hopefully not. People are going to stop going over that cliff because they're going to have these tools in their belt right from the beginning, right? So yeah, if I can send more information about all the 4 different modules.
Yeah. So the presentation will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So probably in a week's time, then you'll be able to access the slides, all the contact information that's on there. We'll leave these brochures up front. And then if you're interested, then pick one up. And Rhett, can you just make sure we have no online questions in the chat?
I got this post.
And Antonio's got one. And one follow-up.
I have some point from having shoe. Both parents don't think they will show, but that will be in the statistic that is no it's scale with parents is good. That should.
I'm sorry, I'm in trouble hearing it.
His question is, parents are caregivers to children.
Yes.
But
Yeah. So
stats.
How is it very natural state?
yes, and so when is it not just? And I don't want to say just because I'm a parent. Like when is it parenting, and when is it like something with complex needs? So we have a new task force with Caregivers Alberta called the Alberta Children's Complex Collective. I can't remember the whole name of it. It's just brand new, and because there are families that are dealing with complex issues with their children, whether it's a diagnosis, whether it's autism or that, or maybe it is because they're adoption, or maybe it's blended families. Like how you define a complex situation when it comes to parenting is,
Well, that's what
yeah,
these who felt problems.
yeah,
People sometimes could ask on test children like
Yeah.
autism. So
yeah, yeah,
and even not normal children. You saw parents, probably young parents,
yeah,
who as time could be exhausted.
yeah,
As this time when
yeah,
problems are dimensional.
yeah,
They doing the last shit fault also for the
We have
parents, all my fans.
Yeah, we have support for parents that have children or caregivers that are caring for children with complex needs. Now, those complex needs could be mental health. They could be because an adoption situation. It could be, grandparents taking care of children, and there's an adjustment there. So there's a fine line. I actually have one parent that is coming to one of our programs. She is an immigrant. So she's trying to understand how to be here in Canada, and she's a single mom with 5 kids. So she is because, and some of her kids are going through some assessments and so forth. I do think there's going to be a diagnosis. So we're pretty flexible. We're not going to kick you out, but we do have a strong mandate that you're a caregiver with a child with complex needs, not a parent, right? But kids with complex needs, like behavioral problems, they're...
Yeah, just ask Wendy.
Yes.
Sick.
Yeah. And when you are a parent with children with complex needs and you are spending time with other parents with complex needs, there is comfort in that. There is less judgment. You can share things that you can't share with other parents. Other parents are going to you did what? Right? They're not going to understand. I even know with my own experience, I've had people say to me, aren't you over that yet? And I'm like, how can we over that? How can we over that? I don't understand. How can we be over that? It's changed the trajectory of our whole lives, right? He still lives with me. How can I be? So that's not someone I can talk to. But I go to my support group. I can talk to them. I never get a comment like that, right? So, yeah. Any questions? I'm sorry, was there any other? You're good?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Thank you so much, very much.
Once again, we learned so much.